An alle Frauen, die gesagt haben, mir fehle das gewisse Extra. Ich hab's jetzt. Von Sinalco. Und euch gebe ich nix davon ab.
Hast du's auch schon? Sinalco extra fruchtig. Jetzt in 3 leckeren Sorten mit 10% Frucht. Gönn dir dein Extra.
Die Sinalco schmeckt.
Und jetzt neu. Sinalco extra zuckerfrei. 0% Zucker, 100% Geschmack.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, Chrism. Chrism? Hi, everybody. I heard Chrism starting there with his auming, and he seems to have vanished. I don't think I've been disconnected. If I'm talking to the air, that's fine. Let me check with the chat room. Can you hear Chrism? Okay. No, I cannot. Okay. So that means, can you hear me, Magic Art? Okay, I think you can. Okay, you can. Rightio. That means somehow, no, you can't. What does no mean? You can't hear Chrism. Okay. Okay, well, listen, everybody. You're all very welcome. I'm going to give Chrism a little clue there that he's been disconnected. I don't know what is after happening. I put him on mute, hoping that he'll see that. This has happened to us before, unfortunately, where Chrism has come on and... okay. 1 second, guys. Have patience, please. Hi, Chrism. Okay, so it seems as if Chrism definitely cannot be heard by anybody. So I'm going to say welcome to everybody. Okay, 1 second. Can you hear Santara? Okay. Guys, I apologize for this. I don't know what's going on. Everything looks fine. I don't know. It's very strange. Hello? Okay, Chrism. I'm going to type a message in for Chrism. So Chrism has just left a message to say that he's going to call in. So he's going to do that now, which is cool. And I'll see him coming up there on the studio, and I'll bring him straight in. So in the meantime, I will do as Chrism says. I'm going to tap dance, guys. So I want to welcome everybody. Today, the 24th of January, you're all very welcome to today's blog talk show. I'm going to go straight in and make some of my announcements. The first one is, if you would like to make a donation, please feel free to do so. Donations are always very welcome. Chrism doesn't work in the typical job where he gets a regular income, and therefore he's quite dependent on the donations. And I would invite you to please make a donation to www. Here he is. Chrism.
I don't know what's going on with my computer. It's just like somebody keeps putting me in the blue, which is on the headphones, and that takes me off the mic. It's so weird.
That's me.
So weird. You were doing that?
Yeah, because you went, and then you went completely dead. And
yeah,
so that was the signal.
Then I got this, I got this tone that went, doo-doo-doo, the number you have dialed, that type of thing. And so
weird.
That's totally weird.
The reason I put you in the blue is so that you could see that you were not being, just to signal you.
I definitely saw that.
Yeah, nobody could hear you.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So that was kind of good of me.
Yes, it was good. It was a good signal. But that's just so strange that it just dropped off like that. I've never had that happen.
No, you have. You have. This happened one time before. Yeah, that's right. And at the time I said, if you ever see me going blue, Chrism, and keep pushing you in the blue, it means you're hurt.
Okay. Connection can't be.
You're here, so you want to begin again?
Well, I'm gonna try this real quick here and see if it works. But I'm gonna stay online here too at the same time. So this isn't working. Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, everybody, let me just start all over again. So apologize for whatever that was, and here we go. And once again, take two. Hello, everybody. This is Chrism. I'd like to welcome you to this program about your Kundalini awakening experiences. And once again, I'll put it out there to see if the chat room can hear me. Hello, everybody. I'm here. So I don't know. Can you hear? Okay. All right. Oh, boy. It's always an adventure. Okay. So that just, that there's a lesson in that right there is to be flexible and have a plan B. Have that plan B in hand just in case plan A doesn't go as planned. So here we have it, and I'm looking at myself as a call-in, and I want to welcome all the other call-ins, David listening, and it looks like 303-952 numbers calling in. So hello, everybody. I'd like to start off really quick here just to let you know that there are various ways to grow within the Kundalini. And I say this to you as I'm staring at a grow light that's so beautiful. It's got these beautiful, beautiful blue and magenta and orangish colors that mix together and they form this beautiful violet light. And I have a couple of plants there behind the television that I'm shining this light on, and the Kundalini is so massive, it's so powerful, it's so endemic to our system that there are many various ways to stimulate its growth and its development within you. And really, the safeties practice is really, I think, one of the best ways to do that. Definitely will give you all the different, shall we say, frequencies of light that is required for the continuous development of Kundalini within the person. And if you're inside of a situation that you don't understand, and you're being pulled into a direction that seemingly takes you out of your understandings of Kundalini and your practice of Kundalini, just realize that you can do those safeties in the middle of the night. You can do them in the morning. You can do them anywhere. You can do them in a hotel room. You can do them in the bathroom at work if you have a bathroom at your work. You can, there is recourse. You've just got to organize your time in a way that allows that to occur. You can have a really, really, really tough, busy schedule, but you can find the time to spend, 21 minutes doing the safeties or half an hour. I think the fastest I've ever seen anybody do the safeties is 21 minutes. That's going really fast. I mean, you should see that person doing those 5 Tibetans. So there are many different ways to nurture it. You can do the chakra breathing. You can take the Shaktipat. You can, there are many, many, many different pathways up the Kundalini mountain, and they all lead to the top. Now, some of them are more circuitous than others, and some of them are much steeper than others. But it's, there are many, many different ways to do this. And I'm being given a vision. The Kundalini has just shown me a vision of Yosemite Valley, and it's It's the largest contiguous stone in the world that they have found up to this point, and it's called El Capitan. And for those of you that have been to Yosemite, I know Amelia has been to Yosemite a couple of times, I believe, and that is the most massive. I mean, it's 4,000 to 6,000 feet straight up from the valley floor, and it's this one massive granite. I hate to call it a rock because that's so dismissive, but no, it's this massive stone, and 4,000 feet by about 6,000 or 7,000 feet wide. I'm just guessing on these numbers. Well, the 4,000 to 6,000, that is I just don't know exactly how massive this outcropping is. But the climbers love to climb it. They just love to climb it. They use ropes, they use this, they use that, they use a lot of different things to climb the El Capitan, and they have a lot of different routes. And I was basically told when I was living there, because I'm not much of a rock climber, I didn't really get into doing that so much. I was there far more for the spiritual, energetic aspect of being in Yosemite and all those waterfalls in one small area. It has a spiritual ramification, believe it or not. But there are many, many, many paths up El Capitan. You have the nose path, where there's kind of like a nose that sticks out, and they call it the nose, and you can take the nose straight on up, and that's actually, even though everything is vertical with this, and the nose is no exception with that. You can go straight up the nose path. You can go to paths, many paths that are on either side of El Capitan, and it's the same with the Kundalini. Everything's going to be vertical, my friends. You're not going to get easier than the safeties. And the only reason I say that is because the safeties are very, very multi-platform. You're dealing with your emotional issues. You're dealing with your forgiveness issues. You're working through the tolerance issues. You're working through, many of the levels of blockage and the many areas that these blockages can collect into. You're working with the Granthi knots as well. So the safeties are, in my opinion, the best way to go, because you're dealing with everything that comprises as an effect of the 5-body system. So if you got a blockage in your mental attitude, or you've got a blockage in your ego attitude, you got a blockage in your emotional areas and your physical areas, then you can isolate and you can work on each of these in a single practice. Whereas if you do yoga, let's just say you're doing yoga all the time, and you're basically just working with the physical body. And you might get an activation, you might get some kriyas, but what about the emotional kriyas? What about those? What about the mental kriyas? What about those? What about barking like a dog in the middle of a yoga class? There could be some upset. Matter of fact, a lot of my students that have the Kundalini and go to yoga classes get kicked out if they're exhibiting any phenomena. Now, I don't think that every yoga studio would do that. Certainly not a yoga studio run by a person that has any kind of knowledge of the Kundalini, like Amelia's daughter, Helena. She runs a yoga studio, and her mom's got Kundalini. And Helena actually has a soft activation at this moment. And, Helena has the experience of having Kundalini. Therefore, if a person comes to her studio, they may not get kicked out. I don't know if that's true. Is that true, Amelia? Would they get kicked out if they start having kriyas and barking like a dog?
No, Chrism, they would not, indeed. I hope. I might need to talk to her, actually.
Yeah, you might want to say, hey, is dog barking allowed? Is there dog barking yoga?
Yeah, well, we have spoken about kriyas, and
well,
and how important it is.
Well, she's in a great position to learn, from your experience. I mean, all your kids are.
Well,
and your husband too.
Yeah.
So the first bona fide Kundalini family, really. I mean, you guys are the first family, as far as I know. Everybody's got some sort of a high spiritual thing going. Emma, everybody. Anyway, so yeah.
Except I'm saying this on radio. I don't believe it. Except my son, my 18-year-old, announced recently that there is no God. That when we die, we're done. Mom is like, what?
Well, maybe he's been over Catholicized. Maybe he's just had a little too much of that going on.
I don't want to divert now, but it's actually interesting because, Chrism, the younger ones would have been, and then they would have rejected that, whereas this guy didn't get any of that, and so he's rejected God. So it's really...
Oh, well, hey, I mean, that's okay. That's perfectly okay. I mean, that's kind of, I guess that would be agnostic or atheist, one of the two.
Yeah, it's fascinating me, yeah.
My dad was the same way. He's a scientist, and and he's teaching geology and geography and marine ecosystem, all this stuff, all the hard sciences, And we never, once he laid it out to me what his belief system was, I never pushed anything on him. But when he went to Hawaii and he stood at the edge of the Kilauea volcano, he said he felt the presence of sacred femininity. That's all he could describe it as, because he didn't have words or experience or reference points for it. He said, I felt the goddess Pele. And I don't know how to explain it, but I felt it. And that kind of changed his attitude about some of the stuff that he knows that I'm doing, or he knew that I was doing. And there's nothing like a little personal experience with that. And so this son of yours, you got to look at all the other kids. He's not going to be left out.
No, and but I think what he's doing, he's wanting to rationalize stuff, and he laughs at us now, and that's okay. That's where his age is. It's normal, but it's just fun. It's interesting to observe it,
Well, yeah, and he'll be out there on the 7 seas, I presume, right?
Well, that's the plan, apparently. I think he'll see
out
God
there. On the 7 seas. And absolutely. Large bodies of water and Kundalini people go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how long that lasts.
We'll see. Okay, I'll go blue again then.
Thank you, Aunt. So there are many, many different pathways up the very, very steep slopes of Kundalini. Typically, it's not easy. When we're living in a society that is dominated by the ego, it is typically not an easy path to come into the Kundalini. No matter what path you take up the mountain, it's still a steep mountain, anywhere you look at it. And so, but with the safety protocols, you get to cover more areas consciously in the same amount of time that you would say take one area at a time through the different yogas. You've got the Kundalini yoga, which is kind of a fabrication of a few different yogas. What's his name? The guy with the black beard. We'll call him Blackbeard guy. Blackbeard guy, the guy that brought Kundalini yoga over here to the States. He borrowed a lot from a lot of different other systems. And you have like Bhakti yoga, which is the yoga of love. You've got Raja yoga, which is like more of the royal mental type of yoga, very intentional. You have service yoga. You have dream yoga. You've got Hatha yoga. You have the Hatha yoga Pradipika, and it covers some of these areas. And then these days with the new age, heck, you've got dolphin yoga and cotton candy yoga, and as many yogas as you've got Reiki out there. So there are a lot of different ways to go with it, but none of them really get you where the safeties will get you. And really, I have to lay the blame for that purely at the feet of the Shakti. She designed the safeties. I asked for them. I'll admit that. I mean, I asked for them after that one seminar in Santa Cruz, and that guy had welts up his spine. I asked for safety protocols, and she gave them. And if you look at it, it's, you know, she's taken from the shamanic, she's taken from the Sanskriti, she's taken from the Buddhist, she's taken from the Christian, she's taken from you know, a lot of different. I won't say every single modality on this world. I don't think she took a lot from the Nazis. I don't think she took a lot from, you know, the Manson family. I don't think so. I'm hopefully not. But she took a lot from, I think, a lot of systems, and she took just a little bit. She didn't take the whole system. And she grouped them all together into these safeties, and these safeties are what really and truly will work, and they go hand in hand with the Shaktipat I give, that 25-day Shaktipat that we give at the equinox and the solstice. And the vernal equinox is the next one, and so that will be happening March 21st. So if anybody wants to sign up for that, it is $300 per person. This is a price that the Shakti set after 10 years of giving that away for free. Now she's saying, you know, don't waste the time of Chrism, the teacher. Don't waste the time by having it given to you and not respecting the gift. So now you got to pay for the gift, and I think it's well worth the money. I know Glenn Morris used to charge $500. He charged $500 for a seminar and $500 for a Shaktipat. And he was a martial artist. He didn't really understand the higher spiritual aspects of Kundalini. You know, he activated his Kundalini by virtue of an extreme weekend, 4-day period of doing breathing meditations and you know, hard breathing meditations like Bhastrika, and drinking alcohol, copious amounts of whiskey and vodka and things of that nature that really, you know, put him in an altered state. And it was a very, 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 very difficult activation for him because of the way he did it. And you know, that, and also the fact that he was doing it a lot for the martial artist aspect of it too, to be able to conquer and destroy another person or another competitor, that type of thing. Not to say he wasn't a really nice guy. He's a really nice guy. I had a really good rapport with him, and I honor his memory. And he was present in spiritual form when the Earth, Air, Fire, Snow mantra was put together. I saw him. I literally saw him in the corner. I saw a vision of him, and he was watching. And I think that is, I don't know if he had an effect on that mantra, but that mantra is very, very, very powerful. And never do that without having an attendant practice of the safety protocols. Really, don't do it unless you really need a tear down or a fragmentation of your life. If that's something that you feel you need, well, then Kundalini will certainly provide that for a person. So going forward with this, there are many mountains that you can, or many pathways up the mountain that you can choose from. You can, there are some pathways that you definitely want to have a teacher with. There are some pathways that you definitely want to go solo with. So either way is fine. I mean, if you get in trouble, if you get in trouble on one of those pathways, I'm just going to have to say you're going to have to get yourself out of it. It reminds me, I was literally climbing a very deep part of Yosemite Valley when I lived there. And to me, I was just doing something very simple, but all of a sudden it was so gradual. It was easy, and yet it wasn't at the same time. And all of a sudden I found myself in a situation that that was exceptionally dangerous, that I could have died. I didn't have anywhere to move to. And I was like, 100 feet off the ground, and I didn't have anywhere, and I had no ropes, I had no protection. I didn't even have the right climbing shoes. And I was there, and I was going, oh, WTF. And we all know what that means, right? What the blank am I doing? What an idiot I am for having done this. And I'm thinking of this as I'm clinging to the side of this granite wall, and I'm trying to figure out a way to retrace my steps. And it just wasn't available. And you get that cold fear coming up your spine that, it's going to be it's going to be deadly. You're going to die. You're just going to splat your body on a hard boulder, and there you are, and the vultures will come and just have a field day with you. And I wasn't quite sure what to do, and something clicked inside me, and I was able to see a jump. I had to jump through the air to another boulder, and not something that I would have normally have seen, because you don't jump unprotected across a crevasse, that far off the ground with no rope, no climbing gear, no tools, none of the stuff, right? But I did, and once I made that jump, I was able to get myself out of that pickle. But you may find yourself in somewhat of a pickle too, and you're just going to have to open it up to your Shakti, your inner guidance, to figure out a way out of it. And it may take some time. In the year 2000, to the World Huna Convention in South Lake Tahoe, and I was part of, I could see all the entities floating around people. And I could see that they were purposefully not telling people about the entities that were floating around because they didn't want to scare people. So you have to understand that these people, even though they're saying that they're Huna practitioners, they're not really seeing the reality, and if they are, they're just not saying anything about it. Well, this one guy was passing around these plastic cards with these sacred geometry on it. And you could tell it was old. It was like, maybe 1600s, a copy of that. And he's saying, yeah. You gotta like take your right hand and trace around the circle there 3 times, and it'll just come to you. And he was passing around the cards. Everybody's got to do it. Even the leader of the Huna convention was doing it. Just it's kind of like on a lark. And I did it, and I immediately felt it, and it was a trap. I had just let myself into a trap, and I was so bummed, so by the whole thing, and it took me 2.5 years to get out of it. 2.5 years, folks. And every night I'm going to bed, and I'm incarcerated, and I'm trying to figure out a way out, and the only way I could figure out was by following specific dream instructions that I received in the dream. So if you're not able to find your way into a dream conversation with a specific person that can help you get out, then you're screwed for a much longer time until you can develop that skill. And so be careful what path you decide to go up on. I mean, I've made those mistakes, and they are harsh mistakes. And you literally pay for long periods of time. And I'm not trying to stoke fear. I'm just trying to stoke caution. Don't go for the easy phenomena. Don't. It is so not worth it. And I hope everybody's hearing me there. Okay, do not go for the easy phenomena. I'm going to go over to the chat room, make sure people are hearing that. Call in or walk in. I'm not sure what that's about. Okay. All right, good. So I'd like to hear an amen from the people that are listening in the chat room. Don't go for the easy phenomena. You pay a steep price for that. Okay. All right. you might want to know what I had to do to get out of that incarceration. So I'll go ahead and tell you. I was in a dream conversation with a healer that was doing healing work on the astral. And she was this matronly woman, she's sitting in the middle of this enclosure, this large, big, like, tent. And there are, like, thousands of people streaming to her and receiving from her. And she's doing a good work. And I was immediately allowed to come up to her. I don't know how, like if I cut in line, I don't know. But she accepted me immediately. She said, "Oh, you poor dear." And she, this is what you need. She handed me this, like, drawer full of implements, like things, like a silverware drawer, right? And it had different things in it. And I was kind of confused. I was looking in this drawer and just kind of going, okay, and just kind of wondering how that was going to work for me. Well, what I had fallen into, the trap that I had fallen into was I was now in a zoo. And I was there with other beings that were incarcerated. And the incarcerator was a collector. He just liked to collect sentient life forms and keep them. Like we would collect, different pets in an ant farm or whatever, right? And it was very, very disturbing. And so one day I broke out of the enclosure. And I was able to fly, and I took him, and he was like in a human form. I took him, and I lifted him up about 30 feet, and I pinned him against the wall, and I slammed stakes, I think, into his heart, and I pinned him to the wall. And I said, "You never, ever do this to sentient beings again, ever." And that's where I left him. And after that, I just flew out. And I think the other cages came open as well, but I'm not so sure about that. But I know I left him there. And I know that he was very surprised and very stunned. And it worked. And I was able to, after 2.5 years, I was able to get out of it, like midway through 2002. So there you have it, folks. And I know that's not ahimsa, but at that time, it was appropriate. You don't incarcerate people that way, especially people that have some sort of a message to give to the public. And that's what he was doing. He was kidnapping sentient life forms and keeping them incarcerated through that, like sorcery. There's a kind of sorcery that he was doing with the sacred geometry. And I'm not a real fan of sorcery at all. And so there you have it. There's the story. Oh, good. Thank you for the amens. You could say almonds too, David. Almonds is fine. ALMONDS. Almonds and amen, it's all the same to me. Or almonds. However you call it. Okay, so there's that aspect to it. So when you're climbing up these different pathways, don't go for the easy phenomena. Don't fall unless your Shakti is going to test you that way, like mine did. You'll have to then this is going to be, you're not going to be able to go to a guru and have him wave his hand and release you from that incarceration. You're going to have to do it on your own. And be just really, really discerning on what you allow to into your system, what you allow yourself to partake of. It's easy to not do it. It's easy to say, I'm not interested in that quick phenomenon. I'm not interested in that. Recognize it for a trap. And if you're using anything from like the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, even the 18th or the early 20th century, you're basically dealing with some sort of channeling, mediumship, or sorcery. Okay? Because your Kundalini can come to you right now. She is right up to date. She is with you. She knows you watch TV. So they didn't have TV. So she knows you watch TV. So she knows you. and she knows you better than you know yourself. And so you trust her more than you trust any other kind of cheap, quick sorcery-based phenomena-inducing scenario. So there's that. And moving onwards, I'm going to talk a little bit about something that's happened to me repeatedly over my lifetime. And when I was like 8 and 9 years old, I'd go out and I'd sit on an Indian graveyard, or what they call a burial mound, that was about a quarter mile away from the farm that I was living on, or in and on. And I'd walk out there. I'd take my Shetland pony out there and the dogs, you know, and I'd ride out there, and I'd kind of sit cross-legged, and I'd face the north, and I'd ask for a gift. I'd say, "Spirits of the universe, please give me a gift." And I said this at 9, and every time I did it, I'd get a gift. Most of the gifts were like arrowheads or beads made out of baby's teeth, or some sort of a thing, and it would just appear right there in this very soft graveyard soil. I don't know if you've ever been to a burial mound, but they buried people there for thousands of years before white people came to this continent. And it's lighter than dust. It's soft. It's powdery in a way, but it doesn't blow away. There's some very, very interesting phenomena that happens out on these Indian mounds, and that one in particular. Let me. I'm getting some sort of a robot call right now. I hope it's not blocking. It probably is. Just let it go. Yeah, I hope that didn't interrupt. But the soil is very, very, very soft, and it's like sitting on talcum powder in a way, very much like talcum powder. And so you're sitting there, and the horse, when you bring the horse onto the graveyard, the hooves sink up to his ankles. The ground is so soft. And my stepfather at the time had pulled skulls out of it, and like 4 or 5 different skulls and leg bones and jaw bones, and he did some nasty stuff with that. But he was just your typical Western farmer, though. I mean, he wasn't doing any rituals with it. He just put it in a museum case down in the basement, which just happened to be right next to my room. You can imagine a 9-year-old going to bed every night looking at the skulls in the showcase there. He also had arrowheads and spear points and grinding stones and beads and things like that he also found out there. But he really was going for the people. Anyway, so I'd go up there and I'd sit there and I'd ask for a gift, and that gift would come to me. Well, and this is great, and I was very appreciative, and I'd go on with my day, and I went on with my life. But at various times during my development from a child to a teenager, and during the teen years to the early 20s, I would be intuitively given a gift. And the next time that happened was at a different Indian mound that I just happened to be walking by, and I was given this like ancient little perfume bottle that was made in the late 1800s. It looked like, and because it had a seam down it, so they pressed it, so that you can kind of like tie it up with how long ago it had been made. And then another time, and I hope I'm still being heard here. Let me go to the chat room. Still being heard? Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. So, David asks, did the incarceration affect your meditations and astral travel? Well, yes. It made me astral travel a lot better. My meditations, it disturbed me to the point where I didn't want to meditate. Okay. So, Oh, that's interesting. Can someone else answer? Not sure what that's about. Am I still being heard here? So go ahead and let me know if you can hear. Just say, yes, we can hear. I can hear. Something like that. Yes doesn't do it. Okay. All right, good enough. So, David, yeah, it made me astral project a lot better, and it made me lucid dream a lot better. So there's some very positive upsides to that. And it also allowed me to take responsibility for my actions, too. I had to search this out, David. I had to search it out. I had to find that healer. I didn't even know that healer existed. But I had to go for finding some way out of that incarceration. It was very, very difficult. And it was the same thing when I was taken to hell. Taken to hell very soon after my activation. And the way I got sent to hell was I was inside of a vision. And inside of a vision, there was this old guy with a beard seated in like a wooden chair. And he was really still. And the floor was flooded with about 18 inches of water, maybe a little less, maybe a foot of water. And there were these fishes that were floating through the air. And I was there just observing. And I touched a fish. And boom, I was immediately in hell. And what they were doing at the time, the entertainment that was happening at the time was to take a young couple, and they brought the young couple up to this guy and to this guy in the chair, and they were given a choice. Some voice said, and I don't know whether it was the guy or not, but some voice said, "You can either run and we'll get you, or you can stay and we'll drown you." And the guy chose to run, and the young woman chose to stay. And so I could see that she was being held, pressed to the floor. And I unpressed her. I said, "No, you're not going to die this way." And then, boom, I was in hell for another 2 years. It's a 2-year thing, it seems, for me. It's just like 2 years here, 2 years there. And that was disturbing, to say the least. I got to see my mother raped in the middle of the street, and I got to see my sister burned in an oven like they did with the Jews. And, I got to really, be coerced. They were trying to coerce me to kill a minister in the upstairs belfry and his young daughter. And so I had that's a whole story in and of itself of how I came out of that. But just to shorten the story, it's just like once after like 2 years, maybe a little longer, once I saw them spell universal wrong, well, that was it for me. I'd been through all that other shit, but when I saw them spell universal wrong on a street sign, I was out of there. Anyway, I think I've told that story here anyway, so let's see. David says, seeking drug-induced phenomena with the wrong people caused my spiritual trap to spring, and that lasted a long time. And he says, I had to stop my astral travels as they became nightmarish, and I couldn't meditate for years. Yeah. Nightmarish is fairly common with Kundalini. You'll detox a lot of nightmarish things. But if you have like an entity, like doing the drugs, that will call entities to you. And the entities will literally try to corrupt your system. They'll try to corrupt you, and they'll use fear through nightmares as a tool for that corruption. So I'm not surprised to hear you say that, David. And it's my hope that you were able to get out of that. Probably so, because I think you're able to meditate now. So that, yeah, good. David says yes. Coming back to after I found a little perfume bottle, I was walking along a levee of the Sacramento River near an area called Knights Landing, California, and I was compelled to look down at my feet. And I looked down at my feet, and there was just this red rock there, not a bright red, not a crystal red, not reflecting light at all. It was just kind of like an inch diameter, kind of flat. It'd be a good skipping stone, Fortunately, I didn't do that. I reached down and I picked that up, and I immediately saw a picture in the rock. It was a picture of a man in robes with a beard, with his left hand outstretched, and he was facing to the left as well. And I immediately saw that, and I still have that stone, and I can look at it right now. And boom, there he is. And that kind of gave me information about myself. And so I've kept that rock for my whole life. And then a few days later, on that same levee on the Sacramento River, I was walking along, and I felt compelled to go down the side of the levee towards the river itself. And there were a bunch of river stones there on the side of the levee, and I was directed to look at a very specific rock. And it didn't look any different than any of the other rocks there. It was about maybe 9 inches across, kind of oval shaped like an egg. And why this rock? Why am I lifting up this rock? And it was heavy. And I lifted it up and I turned it over, and there was like a weird painting on the underside of the rock that had been, into the soil. And on that rock, it showed a figure on the knees in prayer position, looking at the sun, praying towards the sun. And I always felt that was like the inner sun that figure was praying to. And I still have that rock too. So I'm just saying that these things make a difference in your spiritual development. I had one more instance in Yosemite Valley of finding a pouch, a medicine bag, and in the bag there was like this amethyst crystal, and there was a couple of talismans and things of that nature. And so I turned it into the National Park Service because I'm sure that whoever lost that medicine bag was going to come looking for it. Well, I waited like 6 or 8 months and nobody had claimed it, so I went back to claim it. And I got it, and I claimed it, and I still have that too to this day. And it really focused my spiritual attention in what was being offered there in Yosemite Valley. And it did. It worked. And there's a very Kundalini-esque type of feel to that. Well, something happened today that was fairly significant for me. This month of January has been very difficult for me. I lost Tika. And she died on the 8th. And, a student that had been going through some very, very difficult things for years and years. I developed a very close friendship with him, and he just said, I can't take it anymore. I've got to go. I got to leave. I don't want to do anything with the Kundalini. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I hate it, and it hates me, and I just want to forget about it. And you've been a good friend, and I really appreciate everything that you've done, but I hate the Kundalini, and I never want to be around anybody that has it. I don't. It tortures me daily. And so, he went away. And then I had another student go away who was just kind of using me for a healing. And it's just been this real month of just loss. loss. In many other ways, that I can't even really tell you about. It's been a January of letting go and people going and things like that, and and I just I could see the pattern early on. It's just like it's a tremendous pattern. It's like 9 types of different losses, most of them with people, one of them with the Siberian husky, and it's just been a real tumultuous first month of 2018. And so anyway, I'm taking Anara here, the German Shepherd. I'm taking her for a walk that I used to do with her Antica, and going the same route. I'm in the daytime now. Typically, I'm walking them walking her in the fourth, like fourth hour of the afternoon, like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. And this time of year, it gets dark there that time. And so, anyway, I'm heading towards the halfway spot where I typically take a seat at this little bench, and I check my emails, and sometimes I post things that come to me during the walk. And anyway, so I check my emails, and I can see it's just starting to rain a little bit. And Nara's been such a good girl. She's not pulling or asking me to go. She's just sitting very patiently. And I have a treat for her. So I get down on my knees, and I call her over, and I'm giving her a good pet and telling her what a good girl she is. And I give her the treat. And she's eating the treat, and I look down because she drops the treat, in order to pick it up. So I always try to be advised of what is going into her. And I see this bright silver glint to my right. And I goes, well, what's that? And I look at it closer, and I pick up this really beautiful silver-backed braided what do you call brooch, I guess, or it's a necklace, but it's it's about an inch. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, it's about an inch oval of Ganesha. And Ganesha is the prayer that I use almost always for people within the Kundalini, because he's a blockage remover. And I looked at that, and I just said, "Geez, Louise!" And the person had to have taken it off. Matter of fact, there's still some of their hair there, and I don't know whether it was jerked off of them or what it was, but it looked like it had been there. I think I was stepping on it while I was sitting on the bench. I think it had been there for a little while, and anyway, I never look at the ground there. I'm always looking at my phone. I never examine the ground around that bench, and so I don't know how long it had been there, and I wouldn't know how to return it to the person. I would return it to the person if I knew who they were or where they were, but it's kind of a public area. Anyway, so I picked it up and I looked at it, and I just felt all of the sadness of this month just fall away from me. All the blockages against letting things go, and Tika's death, and the issues of others that I often will pile onto my shoulders just fell away. And it did it right before I did this program. So I'm really, God, what a healing that has been for me in this day today. And so that is one of those few times in my life that I have found something like that has made a difference in my life. And so I want you to really be aware of that in your life as well. Be aware of being compelled to do something way out of the norm, something that you would never do, like me staring at a 1,000 rocks and being told or led to that one rock that would have a painting of a person in yellow paint on a gray surface rock. I don't even know. I mean, how the heck? What, somebody's like, get down there with a yellow marker? I don't know. It's actually paint. Follow those impulses. Allow yourself to go outside of your normal track and trail and follow those impulses and find those physical symbols, those physical manifestations that grace lays in your path. Find them and keep them and let them help you move forward in your process. Now, it looks like I have a question here, so I'm going to go ahead and come on over to 289. I believe this is Indra. Hello.
Hi, Chrism.
Hi, Indra. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I kind of had a January like you.
It's been a horrible January.
I know. I kind of had a January like you.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And I really needed to cry, but
You should. You should not hold that back. That big long pause you heard me take was me shedding some tears.
Yes. I lost my job. I was laid off. But
well, then you didn't lose it. You got laid off. That's a different thing.
Yes, I got laid off. I feel like I lost my best friend because he said as long as I'm on the Kundalini path, he doesn't really want to do it. He doesn't want to be my friend anymore. So I
had the same
support.
experience. I had the exact same experience, but my experience was because the Kundalini was hurting him. Your experience, I think, is because it scares him, right?
Right. And I feel like
let him go. I want you to get that picture of Ganesha, and I want you to just give to him and let that blockage be taken away. Okay?
Okay. And I just feel like I'm going deeper and deeper.
Good.
And deeper into isolation.
Good. That's good. You need to be isolated in some of these depths. You do. And you need not be concerned about having a job at that time. You are going to be taken care of, and I just need you to trust that. It is so true.
Okay.
It is so true. And your best friend really is not a best friend. He's a very conditional friend.
Yeah. And I really don't. Chrism.
So don't. Yes.
Isolation hurts to this extent.
Yeah, but you're not really isolated, Indra. You're really not. I mean, Shakti is with you. I am with you. You know, the people that have Kundalini are with you. Even the people right now listening to you and listening to you in the future, in the archives, they're immediately going to be drawn to you. You're not alone, except that you're isolated from the egotistic world.
Okay.
That is very important to be. I know Kundalini people that have been isolated for years and years and years because they're going through such a deep transformation that the Shakti doesn't want to have any kind of interruption happen to them.
Okay.
So you surrender to this, my dear.
For years, I was on the straight and narrow with the Kundalini. For years, I gave myself 100%.
Well, then continue. Continue being on that straight and narrow. You're not being punished. This is not a punishment.
Okay.
This should be celebrated. You've gone to the next stage.
Okay.
Seriously, you've gone to the next stage. I know where you're at with this.
Do you?
And I do. I was homeless for 12 years during my transformation. And I wasn't begging on the streets. I wasn't panhandling. I wasn't addicted to drugs. I wasn't some sort of a crazed sexual idiot. I kept to myself, and I was kept to myself.
Yeah.
I was alone all the time. And she created this bubble of aloneness around me. and
that's
it was
where
hard.
I am at.
Well, but the difference is you know people. You know me. You know Santara.
Yeah.
You know David. You know all the people that are listening to you. You know the people in the Kundalini groups. You have the ability to reach out. Just don't accept a cure from anybody. I am not going to cure you from being on this beautiful next stage that is scary because you're alone with it.
It's scary.
There is no cure, and I don't. Even if there was a cure, I wouldn't give it to you.
No, that made me laugh.
Well, it's true.
It made me feel good because that means I'm really not doing anything wrong.
You're not doing anything wrong at all. You're doing everything right.
Okay.
Except thinking that you're doing something wrong. Other than that, you're doing everything right.
Yes. I feel so good already. It's funny and strange, but Chrism,
I have a past life connection with the ancient Sanskriti people, the rishis, and they've worshipped the elephant for a long time. And so for me, my release today from that terrible collection of, why is everybody leaving? Why did Tika have to die? What's going on here?
Yeah.
That came to me in that silver-backed Ganesha pendant. And that's what I have right there. I'm looking at it right now. It's got some sort of Hindi or Sanskrit writing on the back that I don't know what it says. But it came at the right time and in the right place. And I was compelled to do a certain thing. Now, maybe there's something waiting for Indra. What do you think?
What do you think, Chrism? I can't think.
So. I think you're thinking very well for not being able to think.
I can't think. Seriously. It feels like...
Santara says tink in the same way. Tink.
Yeah. Chrism, what do you really think?
What do I think?
Yes.
Or tink? Well... I think there's something out there for you. Well, first of all, I think you need to really enjoy the solitude. I think that you really need to embrace it and to realize that it's a great place. It's a beautiful place, and it's a place where many, many, many Kundalini people have to go for the health of their activation and awakening, for the health of their body, for the health of their mind. Certain templates need to be put into place within you that can only be done within extreme social deprivation.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I am drunk on top of it. Like I'm drunk. I'm Kundalini drunk. Drunk to a point where I'm falling asleep.
It's like we got to take her car keys.
Like I'm falling asleep with it now.
Good. And this is why you're also being isolated. So really don't see it as a bad thing. It's a very, very good thing. Very, very good thing, okay?
Okay.
And stay in touch. Call this program.
Thank you. I'll just keep you posted.
Please do.
Okay. So I'll listen to the rest of the show.
Okay, here we go.
Thank you, Chrism.
You're welcome, Indra. And totally rejoice in what has happened. You've done nothing wrong. You're doing everything right except thinking that something's wrong. Okay. All right, and let's see. Tim, Yassine says, and they're going back to, yes, I have a lot of dreams of prison. And really it's the prison of the ego in many ways. And it's the ego that reaches out to have that easy phenomena like David was talking about, drug-induced phenomena. And like easy phenomena that I fell into that trap too back there at the HUNA conference. And so, you have to earn your way out of that prison. And Yassine, I hope that you're not in that kind of a prison. You let me know if you are. Let's see. Tim Ashworth is saying, isolation is part and parcel of a good process as far as I've experienced. Totally agree, Tim. Totally agree with you. Very well stated. Very well stated. And he continues, he says, it does not feel good at the time, though. And that at first it doesn't feel good. And then later on you kind of get an idea what's going on with it. And then you can really embrace it. And Yassine says, yes, I will pray for you. You are not alone. And so once again, there we go. We have the Kundalini person reaching out for another Kundalini. There we go. And wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, and thank you, Tim, and thank you, Yassine, and thank you, everybody who's reaching out to Indra right now. So, and it looks like Centaur's on the phone with somebody, which is good. Oh, we have Ishmael. Hello, Ishmael. Good to see you there. Anyway, so I want you to be willing to open up beyond your expectation zones. Feel free to do something different that, look at those rocks and go, whoa, maybe I should turn that one over. Or, come down on your knees. I was on my knees when I was petting Anara. I was on my knees and I was facing little Anara, her holiness. She's not that little. She's like a dinosaur dog. I'm looking at her right now, and she's a beautiful show quality German Shepherd, sacred feminine. And she was being given a treat, and I ended up getting a treat at the same time. So there you have it. I will send blessings to that person who dropped it, and I'm going to send physical blessings because I have a piece of their hair, and I will send it directly through that energy that surrounds the genetics, the energies of the telomeres. There's a whole, I should probably talk about that. How much time do I have here? It's 51 minutes. Well, let me ask the chat room if they want me to talk about that. You guys want me to talk about genetic engineering? Not engineering, genetic energetics. Yeah, you could contact Indra. They're asking if there's a way to contact Indra. Just go onto the big group. She'll read the big group and say, hey, this is for Indra. Indra, hello. So that type of a thing. Epigenetics. I don't know. Is that energetic genetics, Atlanta Seeker? Epigenetics. I don't know. But what I do know, and what the Kundalini's allowed me to understand through the just a second. It's like through the scatter field. With the scatter field, I'm working on individual cells. So by location, times a trillion. Or even more than a trillion. Each cell represents a fully mature human being from the Kundalini perspective. And if the cell that you're looking at or you're interacting with is of a Kundalini person, well then, you have that, potentially 25 trillion awakened Kundalini persons within that one human body, that one human being. Cells, that Kundalini person of that individual cell is awakened. And through that awakening, the Shakti Shiva have merged into the marriage, and they have radiance. That one cell has the radiance, and I'm getting flashes of purple all around me right now. Hard not to go into bliss. All right. so the radiance that individual cell gives off can reach into the genetics of a mundane or awakened or activated individual. And it can do a search actually over a large area for the genetic owner of that strand of hair that I have, and can give that person a healing or give them a gift, give them whatever is appropriate for them to have within the level of development that they're in right now. Wow, that was a chunk. So that's the energetics. Now, you don't have to be, bilocation times trillions is just something that I do. I don't know that anybody else is doing that. But you could. If you start looking at each cell in your body or the community of cells within you that make up you, and you're like myself or any of the other people that have the awakened Kundalini, well, then you can do that same thing. There is no limitation on what you can do except what you induce as a limitation upon yourself. I don't put a lot of limitations on myself, and so I can do certain things that I haven't read or heard anybody doing. Not Ramakrishna, not Yogananda, not Vivekananda, not Jesus did some stuff that I like. Buddha didn't really get into the manifestations so much. St. Teresa of Avila, way out there into phenomena land. She, when you're floating off the pew and you have to have two other humans sitting next to you to keep you from floating off of the chair, I have to say there's some phenomena going on there, a little bit of levitation going on there. And she also had a pyro-citic skill where whenever she went into prayer into a chapel, things would go up in flames. And so, they had to make, and she didn't put that. That was not in her autobiography. I think some things she didn't really want to say, but other people did write of it. So yeah, you have the ability to embrace these gifts within you as long as you have the Kundalini within a certain specific level of activation or awakening. You never want to compete the two, by the way. People do this all the time. Oh, it's just an activation. Oh, I see. So you're really not awakened then, are you? No, you never compete. It's just one and two. You've got to have the activation in order to have an awakening. You've got to follow that path. Like Indra was saying, she's been straight and true to the Kundalini for all these years, and that had to take place in order for her to have made it to where she is right now. You cannot, it's like, how do you say it? It's like, I actually had a firearm analogy, but I'm thinking maybe that's not a good one. You've got to learn how to walk before you learn how to run. Activating is learning how to walk, and it's not as easy as that. Activation is a lot harder than you think, because you have to learn how to deal with the phenomena and go forward into grace at the same time. And awakening is it's just another level of a very similar thing, but it's after that divine merge. And the divine merge, doesn't make it easier. It intensifies a lot of things, and you still have to learn how to give up that ego, learn how to not be compelled or controlled by your wants or desires or expectations. The awakening is, it's just another mountain to climb that the activation led you to. Once you get to the top of the activation mountain, well, then you're at the base of the awakening mountain, and it's a much taller mountain. You don't even get to see the top of that one. So that's just an FYI. Now let's look to see if we have any questions in the chat room. Says Chrism, is there a way we can okay, that's the contacting Indra. Okay, so yeah, we can all get to see her on the big group in the Facebook Kundalini Awakening ! And I'm going to ask Her Holiness Amelia if she has collected any questions. And if anybody calling in has any questions. She has.
Of course she has. Like, imagine if I said no.
I would have just continued on, Ishmael, hello. Mohan, hello. Is Manisha still in the chat room? Is she still there?
Let's check. Oh, someone's messaging me. Let's see. Yeah, she is still there, unless she's sleeping.
I was just going to say, is she awake?
Hi, Manisha. Are you awake? We're checking you out, girl.
We're checking out the whole German seminar, and I want to look at the possibility for the Denver seminar. And Alana Seeger asked me about what happened to Tika on the 8th of January. Excuse me. She was getting her bowl of food in the morning, and she ate about half of it, and then she walked into the living room, and then she came back into the kitchen, and she screamed and howled one time, and she fell over dead. Literally fell dead to the floor. And I tried all the resuscitation techniques you can do with dogs and cats and babies, and none of it held. And I asked the Shakti, she wasn't going to bring her back. And that's what happened to Tika. She's buried in the backyard right now. And let's see, Yassine asks me, she was 4. No health concerns at all. I had just taken her on a big, long walk the night before, which they loved, and we don't know what the heck happened. No clue at all. And I wasn't given it either, except I'm looking at her heart, maybe a tumor on the heart. I don't know. But it looked like a heart attack. And thank you for asking, Amanda Seeker. And Manisha, how is the seminar in Germany developing? Are things going well with that? So thank you. Thank you for inquiring about Tika. And so, yeah, looking at Manisha right now, and so I'm going to let her write that out if there's anything for her to write. And I'm going to come on over to Mohan and ask Mohan how that's coming for him. Hi, Mohan.
Hi, Chrism.
How's it going?
Good. In the last couple of weeks, I didn't get a really good chance to go and inquire more hotels. But I was wondering, should I go ahead and ask the hotels for availability at least for 5 or 6 rooms, and then go ahead for asking for a seminar hall?
Say again, now slower.
Sorry?
It's okay. It's all right. I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. Should you go ahead and ask the hotel to what?
No, I was asking you whether I should ask for availability of rooms of at least 5 or 6 rooms, and then availability of seminar halls.
Sure. They always like that because they want you to bring people to their hotel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. Ask for the availability of 10 rooms.
Okay, and you want me to block them somehow, or just ask for availability and
ask
then
for the availability first, and then ask for the date, and then ask if we get a discount on the meeting room. I think you should really touch base with Rosemary on this.
Yeah, I spoke with her.
Into the conversation. Rosemary,
I spoke with her.
Hi.
Hi, Rosemary. Did you give Mohan all the different techniques that we do to put on a seminar?
I did. We talked a little bit about it, and we didn't have the finest detail. So, Mohan, I would, if you talk to them about a room for the seminar. That's what I did, and so because you'd be paying for that, and then I secondly asked them, we won't be having people coming into town, and they have systems in place all the time to block things. They don't go up to the day they go up. They block it for maybe until a week before, and they will hold the rooms, and then you get back to us and let us know about that too. And we could talk too. If you just don't hesitate to call me anytime. I'm somewhere near either of those two phones I have, and I have.
She's a dual phone household. Thank you, Rosemary. Putting you in the booth. Yeah, so feel free. So I think we're still on the table with this then, and do your best with it. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call Rosemary, myself, and if I think Centara's put on plenty of these seminars. She knows it up, down, and sideways too, and I think she'd be willing to help as well.
Yeah, and one more thing, I was wondering if I could look around for hotels which are nearby my place, which is 20-25 minutes drive from.
Absolutely. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a big, huge, fancy hotel either.
Okay.
We're not looking at spending a lot of money. We're looking at activating and helping people with Kundalini. So.
Right. Okay.
That's an important thing. The last time I went to a hotel, it was a motel, M-O-T-E-L, and I had hookers. I had prostitutes on either side of me, so it was very exciting. I'm kidding. Okay, so just don't stress out too much about it. Don't make it it's not. None of these are big blockages, my friend.
Okay.
All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put you in the blue, and I'm going to ask Centara Kundalini if she'll give us the questions.
I certainly will, Chrism. Here we go. I'm going to go first to... Okay, here we go. Dear Chrism, I am an awakened individual. I have noticed the signs of awakening in those around me, and more greatly so in an intimate, non-sexual relationship with a friend whom I love very much. Probably at this time the closest person to me. I have seen him change, certain gifts emerge, and now he has had a vision. I'm fairly certain that I knew when this happened as I fell into a trance and envisioned it. I wouldn't say I'm doing this deliberately, but it is possible that I'm Shaktipating him because I love him, and that's a question mark. And is this my choice or the Kundalini? From my own experience, I see the same initial patterns in him. Intuitively, I feel I should not disclose, listen and offer advice if asked for it, and allow the Holy Goddess to use the relationship as she would have it used. I would be very grateful to receive advice on how to deal with this.
Well, yeah, I think that since you envisioned it, then there is a level of intention on your part to have this occur. This is why, we have to be so very, very careful about how we control our desires. I mean, why did you envision it? That would be the question. Why was that envisioned? Why did you feel compelled or the need to envision that for him? Was it your Kundalini that was guiding you to envision it for him? Or for the person, I forget if it's him or whoever. So, yeah, you have responsibility now. And I like what you're saying about just kind of taking a step back and having the goddess teach him, but you also bear some karmic responsibility now as well. And you need to be there to help and to hold and to, and to clarify and to give assistance, give service, in addition to what the goddess brings to him. You also have responsibilities with him. And I'm going to suggest that you give him to the safety protocols, www.kundalinisafeties, all one word, .com, www.kundalinisafeties.com, and have him practice those safeties twice a day, in addition to yourself. Maybe you can both do that together. I think through the envisioning, you did give a level of Shaktipat to him. But, this is a very, very, very steep mountain. And it's not safe all the time. The safety really is determined by how a person handles it. And so you need to help that person handle it in the most positive way possible. Which means that, it's a little more, I think, of a work environment for you than just standing back and saying, okay, Shakti, I did it, now you just go ahead and deal with it. You need to envision and listen to your guidance in the level of help and assistance that he will need to have. What if he just, what if he starts seeing entities and goes crazy? What about that? What if he self-commits to a psych ward because his reality is crumbling around him and he doesn't understand? Are you going to stand back while that occurs? So these are some of the questions that you need to look at. And it's very important to realize that because you envisioned it, you have collected karma with this. And it's beautiful karma. Don't let me scare you away from it. It's beautiful karma. It's what they call golden handcuffs. But still, you have a responsibility to work with this person. Over.
Could I add something to that,
Sure,
Chrism?
go ahead.
I'm just wondering, let's imagine, if we can, that the person doesn't know about Kundalini or isn't aware that the questioner has Kundalini. Would that make a difference?
No, because they're already displaying phenomena. They're displaying symptoms. And
no,
so,
I'm asking you, should they be told? Should they be told about Kundalini?
Oh, I see. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, he should be told. Absolutely. Clarity, truth, love, service, honesty, tolerance. These are the qualities these are the noble qualities that the Kundalini will grow on. He needs to know what has occurred to him. And he needs to know, what he can do. This is why I'm pointing at the safeties for that. But yeah, definitely the person needs to know. And excellent point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay.
Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, so I have another question that came into my inbox. What is the exact relation between Ida, Pingala, Sushumna, Chitrini, and Kundalini?
Well, those Ida, Pingala, Chitrini, and Sushumna, those are the four conduits, the four conduits of Kundalini as it is raised and as Shiva travels down and Shakti travels up.
Okay.
Those are the four rivers of grace. And they flow up and they flow down at the same time. But there you have it.
Thank you, Chrism. Next question. Can a person count the number of times he raises his Kundalini during meditation? Is this self-aggrandizing? He also tells people when he sneezes, his Kundalini Shakti comes down from the crown to root chakra. Is this possible?
Well, Shakti can do anything she wants, but this guy, he's putting on a show, okay? And that discredits his authenticity for me. He's putting on a show, and the fact that self-aggrandizement is coming into the picture in the question at all is beginning to take away levels of truth and authenticity with what the individual is performing for others. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. And the last one that came in is, yesterday I had a dream an unknown lady prepared bread and chutney spicy jam for me. Now, in real life, I am a lazy person. She cleaned my cupboard, a large drawer, and arranged everything neatly and methodically. I found 2 packets in green paper containing 2 lakh rupees. That's about $3,000. She vanished before I could thank her. The money was not mine. I suppose he's asking what that means.
Well, I already knew when she said that it was in. Before you said it, I knew that money was left in those papers. This didn't happen in real life. This is in a dream.
Yesterday I had a dream, so no, it seems to be all in the dream.
He's going to be given money. He's going to be given money, a couple of thousand or whatever it is. That is part of the gift to him. But he also needs to straighten out those drawers. He's being shown what to do. So the individual needs, to straighten out those drawers, become a less lazy person, and there is a gift waiting for him within that level of organization. And the drawers, just a second, and it has to do with organization. Yeah. The more organized this person can become, a gift of value is coming his way. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. So from the groups, I'm going to stick with the theme of dreaming. There's 2. The first one, it's after moving down. 1 second, Chrism.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So the first one involves your good self. It says, Chrism, last night as I was trying to... Can you hear me? Last night as I was trying to fall asleep, every time I would close my eyes, I would see a dead body lying on the ground, and it would zoom on the face, blood coming out of the nose, and the face a blue ash color. The dead body was Chrism. I assumed it is Kundalini related, but I am not sure what it means.
That came... I answered the question on the group, but another answer also came when I was walking in Aura today. There's a connection between Chrism and Krishna. Krishna is always seen as blue. He's what they call the blue man, right? And to some degree, I am an embodiment of a Krishna, what a Krishna would be. And that would be the blue. And the ash would be the Shiva the destroyer. And the red blood would, of course, be the Shakti. And to see that person lying on the ground would be the merging of that Krishna Shiva person into the Shakti. Okay, so there's that equation right there, and then of course there's the idea of death and the passage of the soul from the body into the next transition. And that is all good. That is all fine. That, even with Tika, I could feel that, this was not going to be fixed. She had to go on to her next equation. And so would anybody who dies. But the scenario within the Kundalini context is a bit different than the scenario within the mundane or mortal flesh context. And I don't know what I wrote there. Do you have what I wrote there in response? Because when she, let me find that here. Because that too is important. This is Krista.
Mm-hmm.
And there she is. And I wrote, this is what I wrote. Death is merely a transition, so just like everyone here, I'm going to go further into my own Kundalini development. Doesn't always mean a literal death, but it can mean that too. Death of the old and birth of the new occurring simultaneously. There is no need of concern. Only the body is finite. And she says, well, so the vision was about you and not me? And I said, it's about your understandings using me as a template. And she says, okay, I think I understand. And I also say, it's always about your understanding, no matter who the actors that are used. And for every second I live, I die as well. And Shrikant came in and he said, it denotes that Shakti never leaves a soul, irrespective if the person is living or dead. And then somebody said truth after that. And that really is, but I got this whole Krishna thing while I was on the walk before I found the Ganesha pendant. So there is something to be said for that. Although I have to say that I don't really identify with the ancient Sanskriti people so much, except I go into bliss when I talk about certain things that come to me regarding to the rishis and the Sanskrit people. So there you have it, my dear. Anything you want to add?
No, thank you very much, Chrism. There's another dream, so I'll go straight on to that then. It says, in this dream, I saw my marriage has been fixed. I and my small cousin go into a small pond or lake to play. Then suddenly I saw a snake, which is yellow in color and black spots on it, moving towards me. I ran and then saw the snake resting on the doorstep of my house. It was looking tired or sick. I felt it wanted to tell me something. Is it related to Kundalini?
Well, yeah. The snake coming across the water there towards you. Yeah, that's all very, very positive. Let the snake come to you. Let the snake do anything that it wants to do with you. You will not be damaged. Now, I noticed that this was answered on the group, and I noticed that somebody came in and said, oh, you must stop walking this path. You know, it's just clearly not understanding the teachings of Kundalini and grace. And so, once again, the snake is a good omen within the dream. It is a good messenger of grace. And you let that snake come to you. And just as if it was a viper and you were on the land and it was coming to bite you, you let the snake bite you. You just don't let those things occur in your daily life. But in the dream life, the Kundalini is giving you a message. It's giving you an instruction. And you are to overcome your fear in the dream life and allow that snake to touch you, to wind itself around you, to bite you, any of those things. Okay? Over. Now, hang on a second. Manisha says, I've got 2 people for sure who are coming to the one in Germany. And they have already paid, and a few others have said they will come. And she says, when I have a few more participants, you can get the plane ticket. So there we go. And Manisha also says, I am on the verge of falling asleep, so I might be gone suddenly. Sweet dreams, my dear. Sweet dreams, Manisha. I know it's like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning over there, so please don't stay up. And if you want to listen in the archives after you've awakened. Thank you for coming and being with us at that early morning time in Germany. Thank you, Manisha. Okay. Oh. Looks like Amelia got bumped. Oh, my gosh, Amelia got bumped. That's so not right. Well, okay, I'm just going to kind of continue on with some of these things here. It can be very frightening, and sometimes you'll get a...
I'm back, just to say.
Oh, I'm back. Hello. Okay. Continue then.
I'm going, okay, I don't know if I'm talking to the air or if Chrism has dropped. Which one of us has dropped?
No. Yeah. No.
Okay. So recovering and going back to the questions. Okay. So do we experience out-of-body or soul travel by activating Kundalini?
Yeah, that's not an uncommon feature of an activation. Yeah, you can do that. I did it.
So is out of body the soul traveling, Chrism?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You got different stages though when you're out of body. There are different bodies that surround the life body, right? The flesh body. And the soul travel. You have a body that is closer to the human body, right? And the etheric body, so to speak. But you also have another body within that etheric body, and that doesn't really resemble a human being. That's more of an amorphous, energetic shape. And both of them are you. It's just like it's the difference between the skin on the outside of your body and the nervous system on the inside of your body. The nervous system would not look so much like a human being because of all the different strands and the luminosity of it, whereas the outside body, of course, is who we're mostly identified with visually. So it depends on if the questioner knows about astral traveling. Both bodies contain the soul. So for instance, when I would astral travel, and I don't do it so much these days because I have so many other things going on. But when I would astral travel, I would create things, and I would create a black, shiny wooden platform that reminded me a lot of a piano, the top of a grand piano. And I would stand on that, and I would inquire. I would say, okay, the situation is Chrism and such, whatever the situation was, and I would get answers, and I would get taken to certain places, and sometimes I would just go to certain places. Sometimes when I was intentionally astral traveling, I would park the car and I would loosen my clothing, and I would listen to Robert Monroe's Hemisync, and I would pop out of the body and I'd head on over to my dad's house, or I'd just fly 100 feet above a roadway and just kind of follow a car who's driving on the roadway. It's kind of fun. Anyway, so that's soul travel as well. And I know a lot of people say, oh, no, that's not soul travel. You're using the etheric body. Soul is the soul, and it can only be a certain way, and it's just not true. It can be any way that the grace within the person decides it's going to be. It's not some set way for everybody. And so both of those are soul travel. Most of my soul travel was around learning specific things and being given specific levels of advice, from Grace, who would never show herself. She always, it was always the one time that I saw an embodiment of Grace was a king sitting on a throne in a 350-mile orbit over the earth. And then I was sat within the body of that king. And I was told that I had been that king, or I was this king, or whatever it was. And it didn't really fit into my reality of that day. But it was just something that occurred. Anyway, over and out.
Okay.
Roger Wilco.
Okay, so next question. I can't stand this feeling being around people. I feel people's negative energy, and it makes me feel so tired these days. I mostly lock myself up. Not the best thing to do. I need advice.
You need to develop your tolerance for others. And you need to be practicing the safeties. You are not a victim of other people's energetics. You can deal with the energetics of this world just like you always have. We're born into a society on purpose. It's not accidental that we're born into a society of egotism. That's part of the deal here. And yes, your telepathic channels may be open. You may be able to feel the thoughts and the projections of other people, but you don't get to just, tune out. You've got to be forgiving. You've got to be tolerant. You've got to be grounded. You've got to keep that tongue up behind your upper front teeth. Okay? And that just came from Shakti right there. Boom. She interjected that. Because I didn't write it when I responded to her. She's got to keep the tongue tip behind the two front teeth, behind that on that fleshy mound behind the upper front teeth. She can take a bath in salt water too, if she can get sea salt and pour a quarter cup of that into the bath. That will help her with some grounding and also with some energetic cleanliness issues. But the stronger her ground, the less any of that stuff will bother her. So she's got to work on her grounding. And she's got to work on her practice and her forbearance for the presence and immaturity of the populations around her. We need to be forgiving for people that don't have the sensitivities that we have. Okay? Because I'll tell you what, the world's not going to change just because you got activated. The world's not going to change. But you can change the world by giving those noble behaviors into the populations that are disturbing you so much. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. What time do we have? We're okay. Does Kundalini affect your muscles and joints? The other day, while meditating, there was a boa constrictor wrapped itself around my left ankle and kept squeezing. It still hurts. And that same day, my right shoulder started hurting. No injury or anything. It's more the muscle, the one that runs from shoulder to chest. Because when I move it, I can feel it in my chest. It's getting worse as the days go on. And a day or so after that, my right knee starts to give me issues. Today, along with those, now the right side of my ribs are hurting. How does this all relate? I'm pretty sure there must be because I'm pretty sure they must because it didn't happen until the boa wrapped around my ankle.
Yeah, the boa is the Shakti Kundalini. Once again, you need to surrender to that. And she's infusing your body. And during the infusion, muscle groups and joints that have very, very, very narrow densities between, like, say, in a joint, like a ball joint, like, say, in the elbow or the shoulder, the synovial fluid is what cushions the ball of the joint and the reception of the ball of the joint. That's what cushions and makes it fluid, and keeps a person from experiencing crepitus, which is like an arthritic type of bone against bone rubbing and fracturing itself, in the joint. And so Kundalini will come in there and she'll actually expand it a little bit. She'll expand that ball a little bit. Typically, she'll also increase the synovial fluid development within the person, but that comes after a while. And so you need to surrender to this, not see it as a problem. Yes, it'll be painful for a little bit of time, but that pain will be mitigated in also a very short period of time. And sometimes not such a short period of time. I had problems with my left wrist for 6-9 months before she corrected that imbalance within the wrist. So you have to understand that, yes, the infusion is taking place. And because it is taking place, certain levels of balance that the body is used to having won't be there for a certain amount of time. She will initiate certain changes that will bring the body back into balance. But you also must understand that this is what is occurring, and that the BOA was giving you a tremendous gift, and the magnanimous act, or the magnificence of the gift is that it's changing you. And through that period of change, there will be certain feelings of imbalance, certain feelings of pains, but they will not last. Unless you go to a chiropractor and he or she tries to fix you. If he or she tries to fix you, well, then that can screw some things up. So don't go for medical service. Don't go for a chiropractic service. Excuse me. Let the Kundalini work her way with you and give yourself in complete surrender to the Kundalini. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. Bless you. I think that's it, actually. Okay. Really? Let me just. Well, there's a question on synchronicity, seeing the numbers 222222, and the reason for that.
Yeah, pattern recognition, and sometimes it does contain a message. A lot of it is dependent upon, first of all, how many times it's being seen, the same numbers, and second of all, what are the circumstances within the reality of the individual that's seeing it. And it's not going to be the same thing for everybody. Okay. Everybody thinks, oh, you see 111 or 1111 or 2222 or 4444 or 5. It's just like, well, that means forever. They go off on this big long explanation about how whenever anybody sees this, then this is what it means, and that is not true. It's an individual meaning for each person that experiences it. It's not one way, all the way for everybody. Over.
Thank you. And there is another question here, Chrism. A year back, and it's a dream again. I once had a dream while I was sleeping, which you would do. Sorry. I once had a dream while I was sleeping. As a rest...
Yes?
While I was sleeping, as a rest due to sickness, vomiting issues, I don't know. This is the dream, I think. That I sit on a chair inside a room eating junk. Suddenly, a white formless light goes out from my chest area and escaped outside through the window in a lightning speed and with thunder sound. When it was gone outside through the window, it was dark outside. The dream ends, and that very moment, in reality, I also puke. But I was really wondering, and I've been thinking about the dream. What do those visuals mean?
Well, he was eating junk in the dream.
Yeah, eating junk in the dream, yes.
So maybe not eating drunk or junk will be a good thing to not do. And that will save you from the strong levels of detoxification that you're being warned about. And that you're being shown in the material world by actually having the vomiting occur. So stop eating the junk by all means. That is the big message. Now, I gave him an answer that said, well, the light formless being could have been an entity that was causing the illness in the first place. But it could also be the Shakti causing the illness in the first place as a form of inducing an illness to keep him from eating the junk, but also to detox the body from having received the junk that he has been eating, cleansing the body, so to speak. Over.
Okay. Thank you, Chrism.
Thank you, Amelia.
I think that's definitely it. I think I'm just let me have one check there on CAS 2, and let's just see if anything.
Okay, all righty.
No, there's nothing. No. That's it then.
Now, Yassine Beatrice says, Chrism, I had a dream about a lot of men with dreadlocks that were praying, dancing, and singing. What was the message that the Kundalini was trying to tell me? That don't be judgmental against people that have dreadlocks, Yassine. Evidently,
is that Indra?
No, that's Yassine Beatrice.
But is that her? Okay, I thought that was Indra.
I don't know.
Is that her MO?
Is it?
Is that you,
her
Indra?
Handle? I don't know. Indra, is that you?
Her handle's there. That's
Yassine,
the word.
Is that you?
Yassine, because if it is, that would make a difference to the question, perhaps.
Maybe, yeah. I had a dream of a lot of men dancing.
Maybe I'm wrong.
With dreadlocks. Yeah, what was the message? It was not too much except to be happy and to dance and to pray and sing. Nothing wrong with singing and dancing and praying, even if you have dreadlocks, unwashed, long hair, so to speak. Those are also, a lot of the sadhus do that in India. So there's a tradition in India for people. What does mean me? Yes, me. What does that mean? Does that
it means it's Indra.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. After I said that, I thought, oh God.
I think
Hi,
that
Indra.
for you, Indra, that can be something that you did before, in a before time, in another life. I don't think this is the only life that you've been looking towards Kundalini, and I think maybe that message is a reminder of what you have done in order to come to where you are.
Chrism?
Yes.
Could it have some significance about, her being happy and dancing and singing and rejoicing with a different form, what she was speaking to you about? I mean, it's not at all what she...
She could, well, first of all, I don't suggest that she gets dreadlocks.
She just she wanted to get them.
I don't suggest it. I don't suggest that at all. No, don't get them. Use your shampoo. Use your conditioner. Obey. No. But do pray and dance and sing. Just, do it without dreadlocks. It's not healthy.
In your isolation, Indra, that you were speaking of, be joyful.
The Kundalini, the hair needs to be free-flowing. It needs to be natural, but not natural in the collection of grease and bugs and fleas and whatever the exudate of the world that lands on the hair and collects there is. No. So don't get dreadlocks. My hair likes to dread so easy, but I always mind washing it and combing it and allowing it to flow the way it wants to flow. But if it's full of grease and dirt and grime and auto exhaust and bugs and whatever else, it's not going to be able to flow naturally the way it needs to go. So that's what I'm talking about. I don't wash my hair that much. We'll wash it twice a week. Wash your hair and condition it. Now I have the availability of organic shampoo and organic conditioner here, and I think you can probably get the same kind over there. So look for that in your grocery stores. Organic shampoo and conditioner. Okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say, first of all, thank you very much to Santara Kundalini for providing this program and for providing her services as a host. And are we still there? Are we still on?
Yeah, we are. We would have been warned. How many minutes?
How much do I have left?
2 minutes. 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes.
I'd like to thank Santara for all her help and for helping with the show and for being here as a co-host.
Breathe.
Thank you very much.
And I'd like to say thanks to everybody. And Yeah, thanks to everybody and everybody who phoned in and anyone who's listening in the archives. You're very welcome. And see everybody again. And thank you very much, Chrism.
And thank you. And here we go. We'll end it kind of like we wanted to start it, but we're not sure. So we'll have to listen to the archive. So here we go.
Beobachten wir heute mal die Geschicklichkeit von Holger dem Schreiner. Während seine rechte Hand ein Brett sägt, schreibt die linke eine Rechnung. Gleichzeitig öffnet sein Fuß die seitliche Schiebetür seines Citroën Jumpy.
Ein guter Transporter ist wie ein guter Handwerker, ein echter Allrounder. Der Citroën Jumpy schon ab 175 € im Monat. Optional mit Hands-Free Schiebetüren. Jetzt bei den Citroën Business Days.
Citroën.